and founder and owner of Soulestic Intelligence. And my name is Amelie, and we are going to be talking about giving and receiving today. A big part of this, this is a big universal law of it's very energetic. A lot of us want to receive and never give, and then some of us want to give and never receive. And so there's blocks there. So we're going to talk about healthy ways of giving and receiving. We're going to talk about conditional and unconditional giving and receiving. And I believe like most of us have likely been in this situation where we feel like we have been on any of these. First of all, a lot of all my topics are topics of real life things that I'm going to, things that are coming in from the collective, things that are coming into my personal life. I feel it's very fractal for me, meaning that, the small imprints in my own personal life are effectively felt on a bigger collective energy as well. So let's talk about that. So karmic check-ins are when something from your past comes up and presents itself in a way that you now have to deal with it. You don't have to, but it's asking you to kind of close that loop and move forward. So a lot of us right now are feeling expansive energy. We're feeling activated. Me especially. I don't know if it was the full moon. Hi, Drusha. I don't know if it was the full moon or if it was just a lot of these energetic things happening. I've been hearing it from multiple different people, so I know that this is a true thing. So we'll talk a little bit about karmic check-ins. So karmic check-ins are basically like emotional time travelers. Hi, Clicks. So these might be people, they might be moments, they might be memories of, thank you. I'm excited. I love Tuesdays because it's my dance day. I go, it's about an hour and a half of ballroom dancing lessons, and I'm getting very good at the waltz. So I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to this podcast and talking about this stuff, because when I talk about these things and I get into a really good flow state, then it helps me to even go deeper into the lessons. Okay, so we're talking about people, moments, memories, anything like that is going to be a karmic check-in, and it could just lay dormant for a long time and then it will pop up back in your field. The nice thing about this is there's a lot of familiarity. Cameron, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. I also there's a list of other places that I'm at. I'm on IG, I'm on Facebook. I think my Substack is there. And then if you feel inclined and you want to help support, I have a Buy Me a Coffee site up on my YouTube as well. But they arrive and they're kind of checking in with you of you're not who you used to be. So 10 years ago you and you now and then you in 10 years are all completely different people. Hopefully you're expanding and hopefully you're expanding and you're growing. And if you're not, you're likely going to start feeling that in your body with dis-ease. So dis-eases pop up in this way. So the karmic check-in comes in, and these ones can be emotional check-ins. They're bringing your old self to your new self to see where you are in your emotions, where you are in your thoughts, where you are in your spirit, and just reminding you where you're at. That way you can close the loop and feel good about the direction that you're going. Okay. I live in America. I live in Oregon, America. Gabrielle, welcome. My it's regular. Okay. So the big question here that is being asked is, am I still that same person who I am? Are you still the same person I needed back then? So when you're looking at like a person that is re-entering your field, that person is going to bring up memories and really help you to recollect where you were. And thanks, Trisha. Oh, welcome. I at this time I get a lot of, I don't know what time it is in India, but I tend to get a lot of Indian followers. Okay, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but I do want to, because it did come in my field, and I do want to talk about the karmic check-in piece of your being. These people are people that were from a moment in time. So let's say that you had an ex and you haven't talked to them, you've been estranged from them for, a long time, but at that moment you were like really deeply connected with them and you had to cut that cord or break that bond. And if you if you didn't break it, you might still feel some entanglement. You might still be carrying their energy in your field. So this is important for you to move forward because their energy might hold you back, and there's a story there that you need to cut and then move on so that you can ascend to your next level. Now, this is kind of a soul echo. So if those people are coming in and they are reminding you of things that you were back then, like for me, like 15 years ago, I was a mess. And, a lot of that, my dad had just died. I had a breakup. I went into a new relationship. My housing, like, was crazy. And my job was crazy. I was having a hard time just holding myself together. And now that I look back at that past me and I relate it to the now me, I can see that I've grown a lot. Yeah, I'm still going through those things, but now I can transmute it a lot faster. Okay. These people will also, they might also come in, or these memories might come in as an emotional closure in your life. So maybe you need that closure in a certain part of your emotions. Now, for me, I'm just going to be really open and blunt. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been really activated and expanding in the the downloads that are coming in for me. And one of those is being really emotionally open. And it all stems back to an ex that told me, "You're too much, tone it down, or I'm leaving you." In a time that I was in grief, I was in survival mode, I wasn't able to hold that and say, "You know what, if I'm too much for you, then I'm going." I couldn't say no because of how like bogged down my system was at the time with all of the, there was even more stuff, but it was just a lot that I was holding. And so I couldn't hold that. I couldn't hold myself. But it's such a deep story because it's activating that fear of abandonment, that fear of rejection in me that I need to overcome at the moment. And how that happens is you have to look at, okay, why are these things happening? So I basically, I have a sales mentor, She helps me with my voice and everything like that in my business. And I was like, I'm having all of these issues just setting up my site, setting up this app, and I'm having all these technology things. I know it's not you, it's me. What about me and my system is like basically halting me from moving forward? And, she's a gem. She listened and she didn't really like tell me any answers. But hours later, it came in. It was this. So when somebody tells you that you're too much, they're basic, and you believe them, you're sitting now in a fear of being seen. You're sitting in a fear of visibility. And I am not Jewish, although people do think I am. Jeremiah. I'm American, and I'm American Indian, English, Dutch, Irish, and I think that's pretty much it. So, this fear of visibility or fear of being seen is a huge wound that is holding me back because I still believe him when he said, "You're too much." And when he said that, "You're too much, you need to figure it out," my response, because I was in fear, I was my survival mode was on high alert. I just froze my emotions. Now, when you freeze your emotions, it starts to harm your body. And, first it was like I would go to work and I was fine for a while, but then things like high blood pressure, things like panic attacks slowly started entering. And it was a duration of years, but it took a little bit of time for me not acknowledging my emotional body, not being able to express anger, not being able to fully grieve, not being able to process in the survival mode. Your brain kind of shuts down. Your whole body kind of goes into low battery mode, is the best way to describe it. So when you're in that low battery mode, you are unable to really be authentically yourself. So here we are. We're facing all of our fears and we're expanding, right? And it's taken me quite some time because I've done a lot of it on my own. But thankfully, I had some coaches that helped kind of move some of that stuff along. Okay. So, emotional closure is something. So, these were spoken words that sit in my system, and I'm believing them for X number of years until, a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh, like there's something here, I need to fix it. Like my brain is finally able to process, like, okay, here's the problem, let's figure it out. And then like within hours, like I'm not even kidding you, within hours I had the answer and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, now I know what I need to do. So what did I need to do is I needed to learn to be emotionally open again and to not hold back, not think that I'm too much. Now, if you think I'm too much, and this goes for anybody, if somebody says that you are too much, leave that person because they can't hold you. They're not going to carry you, and it will end badly. Like, learn your karmic lesson ahead of time. So, you are not too much. You're more than enough and you need to shine. Okay? All right. Another thing is karmic check ins will reaffirm you or they'll tempt you back into this cycle of, are you going to choose yourself or are you going to choose their familiarity? Are you going to choose to put yourself first? So, in a relationship that I'm thinking about right now, I put that person above myself and I got burned for it. And heck yeah, I should have been burned for it, right? So in a karmic check-in, if that person comes back in, it's going to test me and say, are you going to stay low, or are you going to ascend and choose yourself in the hiatus? And, for me, this is going to get into the giving and receiving. But for me, the unconditional giving and the unconditional receiving that I have the potential, like we all have the potential to be, is going to be stronger. Not me here at my lowest point, but as I'm closer to the divine, as I'm closer to this deep divine love relationship with my spiritual self. It's when you get here, then the giving and the receiving that you do are higher than your version here. Okay. So, and then of course, it could be reaffirming to you. So it could be reaffirming that, yes, you are on the right path. Yes, you are choosing your self worth, your personal power over people pleasing somebody else. Okay. The other thing is this could be an initiation of compassion. So, me back 10, 15 years ago and me now, like if I look somebody in the eye, I can, and I listen to them for a little bit, like I'm so keen and empathetic and socially aware that I can see their wounds. Anybody, anybody, it doesn't matter. I didn't even know that it was a thing. I just thought, oh my gosh, my friend is not feeling good today. I need to go talk to him and see like what's going on. Thinking about a situation at work. But when you look at the people in this compassion lens instead of this goo goo gaga lens, you're going to see that you guys both carried shadows at that time. And this might even deepen you further and ground you further into empathy. And you don't have to compromise yourself to have that compassion for them. You can see what pain they were in, why they left you, what their wounds are, and the rawness of it. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. And then to kind of tie this karmic check in, basically, when you have these, they're beautiful messages from the universe. It's telling you that you are being prepared to receive more. I think sometimes these really paradoxical situations that we find ourselves in, that if you give, then you'll receive. But if you're, I mean, that's true. But the other paradoxical thing, and kind of what I was touching in with, like, these two versions of yourself, the other thing is me here giving and me here giving, or me here receiving and me here receiving, are going to look very different. The amplification is going to be very different. So when you're passing and choosing yourself, you're actually going to be able to give more. You're going to be able to receive more. You're going to be able to hold yourself more. Hi, Deborah. Good to see you. It's such a joy to hear from to hear you. Thank you so much. I hope this is landing and you guys are getting some good deliciousness out of it. So the past might come back, and this is, karmic check-in, whatever you want to call it. The past is going to come back to you, test you, and then it's not necessarily like, oh, okay, now we can like continue on our timeline. Unless that person's like ascended, you probably don't want to be on their timeline. They lost their chance. They could have ascended and built with you. And I think in relationships, we really truly want that. We want that connection. We want to go through these hard times. We want to build with each other. We want to break things down together. And that is this beautiful covenant that you have, this mystical union that you have with somebody that you're in, like embraced in. You're connected. You're one. So when they come back and you look at that and you're like, you know what? I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing to be this higher person now. And that's actually going to help advance you into this higher realm. So you're basically, your soul is like, we got this debris to kind of clean up. Let's take it now that you're more advanced and able to look at it with clear lenses. Let's clean it up, and then let's go work on the next thing, because there's always a next thing. There's always going to be a next thing. And when you're able to clear out this space, it brings you into a higher level, because now it's allowing you to expand. You're getting rid of, like, detachment. I remember watching the last Airbender Avatar show, and maybe I can't put it on YouTube, but I can put it on like Instagram. But there was a moment that Aang had to choose between his love for Katara on this physical realm, or to detach and serve his soul purpose. So this is a really good analogy. So, here he is in this like soul dilemma of, what do I choose? Do I choose my earthly love, my temporal love, or do I choose the purpose that I'm here, my avatar purpose? And I think he ended up choosing Qatar, and it wasn't the end of the world, but it was like a little bit harder for him to go to his next level. So we'll kind of move over that. So when you have these karmic check-ins, and like I said, it could be people, memories, it could be like anything that's coming in from the past and presenting, like representing itself to you, it's just a test for you to overcome it. Are you going to choose yourself? Because listen, in our 3D reality, and I'm like 5D right now, you guys, but in our 3D reality, we are designing everything. Our energy is bringing in these lessons. Our soul is like, okay, we're preparing you. We need you to ascend. We got to clean this up though. Okay. So think of it as graduating to the next level and ending a cycle. So ending this revolution of the same cycle, I like to call it a revolution. It's like the same story that's playing over and over and over again. And then once you get a revelation is a truth. Once you pop out and you're in that truth, you go into a new revolution and you have a new thing to work on. And hopefully, like, as you advance, you'll start to see like, oh, I can overcome it faster. I can identify it quicker. I can overcome it faster. And now, I'm going to have, like, right now I'm super activated, super expansive, but maybe in 4 months from now, I'm not feeling that same way. I might feel in a lull, because we are cyclical in our energy too. Okay, awesome. So now we're going to talk about conditional and unconditional receiving and love, or giving. This one is going to be at this heart space of love, self worth, and energetic intimacy. And I mean that in, do you know how your energy is moving? Do you know when it's stopped? Do you know what your body is telling you? Okay. So, conditional giving is it's an energetic transaction. And it could be really obvious, it could be really subtle. and it's basically tit for tat. So the condition is, if I give you this, you give me that. And we do this all the time. If you go to the store, you're doing some form of conditional giving. I'm going to give you, $5. You're going to give me this bag of chips. I don't know. But this could be masked in different ways. It's, I'll be sweet if you're attentive. That's a condition. I'll give you my body if you give me your loyalty. That's a condition. I'll share my energy with you as long as I feel safe and adored. You're seeking this external validation with this conditional giving. And it's, I mean, as long as everyone's in agreement, it's fine, but it's not as high of giving as unconditional giving is. This one is saying like you must earn whatever or you must deserve whatever because you're doing this for me. And I think a lot of people are kind of stuck in this energy of this tit for tat, quid pro quo, whatever you want to call it. They're stuck in these conditional giving cycles that maybe it's not even said. Maybe, sometimes I think about some relationships that I've had where it wasn't even said, nothing was even put on the record. There was no relationship explanation. There's no relationship goal to talk about. And I remember being, kind of blindsided. I've been doing all of this for you. There's like this buildup of resentment because they're like, well, I've been doing these things for you, so you should be doing X for me. And just kind of being caught blindsided of like, we never talked about that. I never understood this contract that you're talking about. There's no mutual agreement here. So conditional giving is tied to childhood wounds. So childhood wounds can activate this for you. Fear of being taken advantage of. If I give you something and you don't give me something back, I'm just going to get taken advantage of. People pleasing masks. So people will use this as their mask of, you don't have to get close to me. I don't have to take responsibility for and ownership for my power and authority, because right now it's merely a transaction and that's all I need to do. I heard it beautifully said, and I can't remember where I heard it, but we've got a ledger. We've got this ledger love relationship. And so as long as our ledgers are balanced, we won't be having a problem. But if these ledgers are out of balance, there's going to be hell to pay. Either I've been giving too much or I'm not receiving enough from what I'm giving or what you give me. So the conditional giving, if you find yourself desiring to have control over other people instead of controlling yourself, because let's face it, if somebody is saying tit for tat, unless, it's like at the grocery store and you're paying for groceries. This is green juice, by the way. It's not. I like making green juice. But it's not like if you were at the grocery store and you're doing that. This is because my world is chaotic. I'm stuck in survival mode. I don't know how to address my power and authority. I don't know who I am. I'm going to control the narrative as much as possible. I'm going to control you by saying, I'm going to give you X. And it works the same way for I want to receive X for this, because it's the tit for tat. So it's looking like caring, but it's actually just a weaponized control mechanism that you're using. It's very defensive. It might be offensive. I don't know. But yeah, when you're in this conditional giving situation, then it's going to be, it could blow up in your face pretty easily. Okay. Now, what does unconditional giving look like? And this one is coming from a place of where you're overflowing. So in a conditional giving, you have this, like, let's say you have this balance and you're like, oh, I have all these things to give. And then let's say you start giving, 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 and your giving energy starts shrinking. And then all of a sudden you're like, panic mode. Oh my gosh, I'm like almost in the red with my things that I can give. Now I'm not going to have anything to give. So I'm like, obviously, my survival mechanism is going to start going off. I'm going to start panicking. And that's when the blow ups happen because you're like, I've given you all this stuff and you haven't given me back. The opposite is true for that conditional giver. So the unconditional giver, because it's not from a place of control, this is from a place of overabundance. This is a place from overflow. I'm giving to you because it's who I am, and it's not because of what I will get back. I'm giving this to you because I have it to give. I have more than I need. And this is not to be confused with self sacrifice. I mean, you can sacrifice some things, but this is not self sacrifice. You're not doing it to jeopardize yourself. It doesn't mean, and also doesn't mean that we do it without boundaries. This unconditional love is going to have boundaries. You know, let's say somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, can I borrow $200? Let's just use that as energy. Can I borrow $200? You don't have $200. Or maybe you do, but you have it meant to go another direction. And in that moment, your body is saying, hey, you don't have this to give. A people pleaser is going to say, yeah, I'll give it to you even if it jeopardizes me. Whereas an unconditional giver, a person who is respecting their own boundaries, will say, I'd love to give it to you, but I just can't at the moment. In this moment, I can't do that for you. So you're respecting your boundaries. You're respecting your energy, and you're looking at it from a holistic, I am unable to fulfill this request at the moment. So some examples of this is, I'm going to give you love because I am love. And there's no, like I said, there's no ledger. There's no balance. It's, I'm doing this because, one, I have it, and two, because I just want to. It fulfills me to do that for you. It makes me happy. It's not, there's no earning this. I'm just going to love you. And we can do this with our children. We could do this with our spouses, our friends. But you do it from a place of love. And it's not love of others. Like I said, you know, we have these, if you're on these two timelines, you know, my lower timeline here, my upper timeline here, I'm probably going to be a lot more filled up and be able to hold a lot more up here than I am down here. Not even probably. Yes, I am going to be able to, because I love myself. And so now, since I love myself, I can give you more. Another way is, I'll share this gift because it's flowing through me. Your body is saying, you know, you received this gift, now share it, and share it with abandon. Like, don't even think about what you're going to get back. Just share it. And a lot of people may feel this. You know, you may win a raffle or something, and or you maybe, I remember one time I was sitting in a cafeteria, and I didn't have to do this, but I was sitting in a cafeteria and I was just watching this woman. She was a janitor. It was at a mall. She was a janitor, and I was watching her as I was eating my meal. And I'm sitting there with my son. I'm like, and just, I had it. But deep in my heart, I was like, you should go tip her. You should give her, I think I gave her like $10 or something. But there was something in my heart that was just like, I was watching this woman, I was filled with compassion, and the abundance was just like, go give her this money that you have. I think I just had $10 cash or whatever. But, and tell her a kind word. And I don't know what her day was like after that. I don't know if she had like a bill that she had to pay or whatever the situation was. Maybe she just needed a meal. It's you just, your heart fills with compassion, and you get this message of you should do this, and it's because you're divinely connected to everybody. So I was just happened to be connected with her for whatever reason. I just was filled with compassion. I went over and I said, like, I've been watching you. You're doing such a good job at at your post. What you're doing here is just cleaning tables and sweeping. But you're doing such a good job. Like, I can tell that you're, like, you care about what your job is. And so, you know, and then I slid her some money, and then I walked off, and that was the end. Gabriel says, you seem like a nice person. I mean, nice is one of the descriptions that I have. I have a lot of descriptions. I'm a lot of different archetypes. Deborah says, oh, I like that. I'm going to give you love because I am love. Yes, it's unconditional, and it's a different feeling of love. So it's very beautiful. So our next one was, I'll share this gift because it's flowing through me, not because I want to buy your affection. I saw these flowers and I had to get them because it made me think of you. Here's this gift. And some people, like, gift giving is their love language. I did the 5 love languages. Getting gifts, receiving gifts, or giving gifts. Like, some people are just really good at it. And I'm always fascinated because I don't know, I'm kind of like scatterbrained sometimes. And, I'll collect things and I'll think of people. And I have like this little area in my closet that I keep like things that I see that make me think of people. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know there's going to be a moment where I need to send this to them. But it's just like I collect all these little things that remind me of people, and I'm like, I was called to share this with you, and just receive it. And people do this for me, and it's so beautiful. It's just the unconditional, like, wow, that really made my day. To either give that to you, and then we'll talk about receiving here in a little bit, but then to receive that from you. Back in 2020, I started a seed saving company. And I was going through it, you guys. Like, talk about expansion. Like, I've grown so much in the last 5 years as just in my own person. And it's like not even broad spectrum. But I started this seed saving company, and the premise was I have seeds. Well, first it started off with these carrot seeds that I had saved from my garden. I have these seeds. Send me your address. I'll ship it to you. I'll pay the postage and ship it to you for free. I need to get rid of these seeds. I had like, I don't even know how many seeds it was. It was like 1 million, let's say, maybe more. It was a lot. It was a lot of carrots. And so I was like, I'm just going to give these to whomever is asking for them. And this is before I started the company, but I was like, what am I going to do with all of these seeds? I had an overabundance, and I had the means to pay the postage. I mean, it's not a lot, like maybe $1 or $2 or whatever per her package. And me, I'm like a giver. I have a hard time receiving things. And so this business, this giving business that I initially was just like, I'm just going to give and not expect anything in return. The not expect anything in return piece of the unconditional receiving, which we'll talk about, is like all tied into it. And I realized in that moment that I was having a divine message of, you can't just give. It's so controlling. You need to let that go. You need to be able to receive. And people were like, I want to cash donate, I want to seed donate. And so I had to expand my operation basically to open that up to, okay, now we have more people that are involved, and all these people got involved in the project and they were happy to give to the project without expecting anything in return. They knew that it was donations. And it stirred me because I was like, I I am not I'm not necessarily ready for that. Obviously, my soul was saying, "You're ready for it. You need to learn this lesson." So it was a real gift in this receiving and giving transaction, not transaction, but flow of energy. So I tend to be a very generous giver, and it was basically telling me you also need to be a loving receiver. And the bigger message in that is that if God is giving, like if Jesus is giving us a new life, do I want to receive it? Am I able to receive it if I can't have these like little temporal receiving issues? Like if I'm not able to look at that for what it is? And am I really able to receive this really big gift if I can't even receive these smaller gifts? So it was a real eye opening, I don't want to say challenge, but it was a real eye opening arrangement that had happened. That in this generosity that I thought I was in, I equally had to challenge it with, how do I receive unconditionally as well? Because you can't just have all dominant, like this power. Like you have to keep the balance flowing. And it was a beautiful message. It was a beautiful lesson. And so let's talk about conditional receiving. So we talked about conditional giving, but conditional receiving, this is where some people get tangled, because it will sound like I can only receive if I've worked for it. And maybe in that moment in 2020, that was where I was sitting. Even though here I am, like giving, generous, working, like some people putting their packages together took 40 minutes. And I served quite a bit of families doing that. Partly because I'd write like a handwritten message of, thank you. Here's some, whatever whatever words were coming to me. Here's another conditional receiving message is, I'll accept affection only if I feel perfect today. Now, none of us are going to feel perfect. I mean, maybe some of us might, I don't know. But hardly ever are we going to feel perfect, you know? And so you're halting the receiving. You're halting that. You're saying, I don't deserve it, which is a self-worth issue. I don't deserve it, so don't give it to me. I'm not accepting your gift. This other piece, and this one I get tangled up with often because I've I've been working on my boundaries, energetic boundaries, physical boundaries, everything like that. It's if I let you help me, then I will owe you. And this is also coming from a place of control. And if you're in a conditional giving or receiving state, you're going to feel both sides of these at one side or another. This is this is your wound programming. This is your survival mechanism saying that, hey, you don't deserve whatever is being offered, so don't take it. You're not perfect enough. You're not enough. Whatever messages that say, hey, this is, I don't deserve it. You're likely experiencing very low self-worth, and I encourage you to sign up for my program where we will work on that, because you are worth it. And you are you are beautiful, and maybe not perfect, but you are worth it. You're gifted and talented. So this is, the wounded, you're wounding, saying, I can't trust generosity unless I control it. I can't trust that somebody is giving something to me without some condition behind it. And this also, like I said before, this could come from childhood wounds where, let's say you ask your parents something, and then like, oh, did you clean your room? You can't have whatever it is unless you clean your room. You can't have unless you take out the trash, unless you do the dishes, unless you fulfill this part of our contract, you're not going to have any you're not going to be a part of this. Like, I'm not giving you anything. And therefore you can't receive anything. So in that wounding, I don't know if that's landing for anybody. In that wounding, you're not able to control it because you're a child. And or like if you're not wanting to be taken advantage of, it's still in that same fear of, I don't want to be taken advantage of. So lots of control things here. I am like the queen of trying to control the situation. I've left two really good careers because of some of my control issues that I had. And I've left relationships because of control issues that I've had. And so it takes overcoming those control issues. It's really just trusting yourself. It's really just having that self-worth of I am worth it. I am like I am worth being presented with these, whatever it is. Okay, let's talk about unconditional receiving. And like the beautiful unconditional giving, unconditional receiving is, so this is coming from this like soul deep place of, you are being love without any performance. You do not have to perform for this receipt. So this the thing that might be said here is, I receive because I exist. I think it was yesterday I was listening to this podcast, and there's so many podcasts out there, there's so many influencers out there that say, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, oh my gosh, things are going to fall apart, oh my gosh this, oh my gosh that. And I mean, that could happen, but is it really the end of the world? No. And so, what I was getting at is in the Old Testament Bible, they were wandering through the desert, and God was giving them manna from heaven. So every day they had something to eat. Every day they were provided for. They had this abundance of food, and they were receiving this. Now, did they receive it unconditionally? They started complaining about it. But I say that in that we have so much abundance. There is so much here that we can take part of and receive in. And it's because we exist. Like, I was just saying with oh my gosh, I need to figure out what is holding me back here. What is the thing? And as soon as I said it, it was like within hours, like probably like 6 hours, I had the answer. Like the abundance is there. Also right now I'm like really trying to meet out 4D and 5D and process that, because it's like I really want to dive deeply into that. Like that is what my soul is craving, is give me the information on all of these dimensions. I want to know, because I want to multi-locate. I think we can. I want to translocate. I mean, I want to do these supernatural, fantastical things, and I'm asking for all of that. And I don't think it's going to take as long as some of the other questions that I've asked, but I am going to get there. Like, I'm ready for it. Even if it means like having these really intense activation periods, like I'm here for it. So, in unconditional receiving, it's not because you're beautiful today, which you are. It's not because you're strong. And it's not because you kept your temper. It's not showing up perfect. It's because you're here. It's because you're in such self-love. You're in such unconditional love with yourself that you realize like how beautiful it is just to be you. And it's not your physical body. And that, if you're hung up on that, then that's it. Oftentimes I'm like, if my soul was my actual body, I'd be like a knockout, because my soul is like so beautiful. I look at it, I'm like, she's got such grace. She's got such she's got such deep wisdom. She's so intuitive. I'm really in tune with my soul, and I'm like, that woman is a knockout, right? And so that's where we want to be in order to really access that unconditional giving and unconditional receiving. Okay? I am hoping that lands. So, in terms of energy, giving is typically a masculine energy, and that doesn't mean that just because you're a man that's all you're going to have. You're going to be able to need to receive too. And hold on a second. So that giving is providing. And it's anybody can have these energies, and we all have it within ourselves. We have this masculine and feminine energy running amok in our systems, and it's like it's working together, and we're working on balancing that. And the receiving energy is very feminine. It's a very feminine energy to be able to receive and then use that gift that you've received to nurture and to just be this wonderful creator. Okay. See if I can find my notes here. All right. So with feminine receptivity, You're open, you're magnetic, you're very soft, you're very powerful, and you're very slow. And it took me a long time because it's so counterintuitive to our world to realize that. Because, the masculine is like, get it done, take action, do the thing, you know, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's just like so excitable, and it's very, you know, it's very like positive. It's just a lot of big energy there. And then in that feminine, she's slowed down. She's not go, 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 go. And if you're finding yourself that you're a woman and that you're going through those motions and you don't feel in alignment with it, then that's your messaging saying like you need to slow down. You need to open up. You need to soften. You need to be more, and in that slowing down and that softness and that opening up, you become more magnetic. You become deeper in your power and in your identity. And it's beautiful. All right. So, um, so Deborah said you're in the eyes of the Lord, and amen. Ask and you shall receive. Yep. Seek and you shall find, which is what happened to me, and I was so grateful for it. I was like, oh my gosh. Thank goodness. So, signs that you're shifting into unconditional energy. So, a lot of us are sitting in this ledger style transaction. We're sitting in that transactional, conditional giving and receiving. One, because it's part of this world, like bartering, paying for something, whatever it is. Those are transactions that occur. But once you start shifting into this unconditional energy because you're choosing yourself, you're going to start seeing that you can give without resentment. Now, if you're giving with resentment, you need to address it. But if you're giving without any resentment, that's showing that you're in an unconditional, you're shifting into this unconditional energy. You can receive without guilt. Now, the gifts that people are giving you, whatever it is, you receive it and you say thank you to them. Where did I see it? I saw, I think I just saw it on a forum board that I was reading. There was a woman, and she was like, this psychic had reached out to her and was like, hey, I need to give you a reading. He didn't say anything about the transaction. He was just like, I was called in to give you this reading. And she's like, okay. So she receives it, not thinking that she had to give anything back, but because he was giving her a gift. And then, a couple hours later, he's like, oh, I need to do this spiritual cleanse for you. It's going to be X number of money. You need to send that over to me so I can get it done. And you need to get it done by X number of time, like by this time. Otherwise, it's not going to be good for you. And she was like, no, thank you. In so many words, I didn't sign up for this. You reached out to me. And so she said all these ways of saying like, no, thank you. And he pressed on her. And so I think it's in like, and finally she was like, I'm not doing this. I'm blocking you, whatever. But I think it's because of transactions like this, these encounters that we have with people, that we think that we are cautious about, like, am I going to receive this? Is this person going to ask me for something? What are they going to ask me for? I had a girlfriend over and we were talking and she was like, yeah, somebody stole my bike out of my garage. And I was saying, man, I need a new bike. And her friend who puts bikes together is like, I put this bike together for you. And she went over and she's like, oh my gosh, it's a great bike. And And here she is thinking he's just going to gift it to her because he's saying, I did this for you, and then I put this on here for you. And it was his, passion, hobby, or whatever. I did this for you, and here's this. And then she's like, this is really awesome. And he's like, that'll be $75. And she was like, okay, didn't expect to have to pay that out. But, it is a good bike and it is well worth it. And so as she's like thinking about it, he raises it to 150. So it's because of these types of situations that we start to like, if I receive this, is there something going to happen to me? And that's a natural thing for a woman to kind of experience, is if I receive this from this person, is it going to cause me to react in some sort of survival mode? Am I going to have to run? Am I going to have to fight? Am I going to have to freeze? Like, or am I going to give in? I don't want to be taken advantage of. So once you can receive without guilt and then really sit in, like, is this something to receive? Or having that boundary of saying, you know what, I really appreciate it. The reason why I even showed up here is because I thought you were giving this to me for free. And, now I am coming in and I wasn't expecting this. This is an unexpected thing. So I'm going to have to politely decline your offer. But thank you so much for it. Once you can really voice and say that in respect to yourself, so there's this level of self respect, self love, self confidence, that he's not going to go, well, I just put all this time in it for you, for your thing, and now you're not going to complete the transaction. That's on him to figure out, because he if he's going to come in and say those things to you, he also has responsibility for his, I don't want to call it sneaky, but that's kind of sneaky to like say, hey, I made this thing for you. Now you got to pay me for it. I mean, if that was how the world worked, we would have a pretty crazy world. That's just not how it is. That's not how it works. The other thing is when you're shifting into this unconditional energy, you're going to be asking without apology. So I listen to people when they're talking to me. Are they apologizing? I used to be an apologizer. I'm sorry. I need to blah, blah, blah. Oh, I apologize. To a point of, at some moment, I was like, man, I apologize, or I say I'm sorry all the time. What am I, what am I really doing here? What am I really asking? Can I just ask it and then wait for the answer instead of saying I'm sorry? Deborah says the bike pseudo giving, yeah, pseudo giving for sure, or giving or presented as giving, yet it is not. Yeah, it was a ledger, it was this condition. Have had that happen to us before. It's such a surprise, but yes, you don't have to take it no matter how much they are giving. Yeah, you don't have to take it. You don't have to take everything that's given, that is like presented to you. The the wisdom here is to be able to look at what is being given to me, and then whatever your intuition or your wisdom or that voice that you have is saying yes or no to. And some people are going to have an easier yes or no. They're going to be able to have a little bit clearer answer, so to speak. I just mentioned that situation because I wanted to show you guys, like, he had this conditional giving approach, and she was kind of in this, oh, he's going to gift me a bike. I'm ready to receive it, so I'm going to show up. Because he saw that I had a need, and he is showing up like a good kingsman and is going to, make the situation right. Well, let's just, there's more to the story, and if you guys want the tea, I can share it with you. But let me finish my let me finish my list here. So you ask without apology. So if you find yourself saying, I'm sorry, if you find yourself apologizing, if you find yourself kind of demeaning yourself and not showing up with your ask, then yeah. I remember when I went in and I asked for a raise and a title promotion, and it was so terrifying just to do the ask. And I had to prepare myself of all these scenarios that might happen of me asking for that. I got it. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I did have to, fight for myself a little bit, and that was huge a huge piece of like leveling up my self-worth. The other piece is you decline without shame. So if, let's say my friend didn't, she paid him. Let's say that she was like, I, I must respectfully decline the offer. Thank you so much for it. If she can do that without shame, she's living and sitting in her worth, in her essence. Not that her buying it, because she was like, I thought about it and he did put a lot of time into it. It was a really nice bike. It was worth well over $150. So it was a good deal. I needed one anyways. And, the moment was there. But let's say she thought the bike was really crappy and she's like, I'm not paying you $150 for that. I'm sorry. It's just not worth that. I probably would have I probably would have negotiated, but I don't know the full situation of it either. Okay, so you're able to decline without shame. You're able to use and speak of what you want and your needs. And even if that need is to say no, a lot of the times I find in America at least, we have a hard time negotiating. And that negotiation, and maybe I'll do a whole stream on this, the negotiation piece is being able to trust, love, and stand in your own self of this is what I need from the negotiation. So people are scared of it. And partly that's because they're scared of themselves. And I went into a career where you had to be able to stand in that worth. Now, it's a lot easier to negotiate for businesses sometimes than yourself, or maybe it's easier to negotiate for yourself than somebody else's business. However that works, negotiation is stemmed in personal power. You've got to go in there confident. You've got to go in there knowledgeable, and you've got to go in there knowing what you're willing to accept and where the decline is, where your line is. So that just ties in a little bit here. Okay. You rest without justifying it, and you love without needing to be needed. Okay. So you rest without justifying it. You're I was recording yesterday and I was in a flow state. So I'm just sitting there like doing all these voice memos and just flowing about doing whatever. It's laying in the sun. That's why I'm a little pink today. But so I'm out there and I'm laying in the sun and I'm like talking into my microphone like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah." And one of the things that popped up, it was there was a moment in time when I was so like physically, mentally, emotionally strung out that even sitting on my couch for a minute, like I couldn't even sit and rest. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go do this. Oh my gosh, I got to go do that. I was so busy controlling everything. But once you start to get out of that control, which is going to likely lead you into these conditional giving and receiving relationships. Once you start to be able to rest and actually like sit in your calm, take a break, then you're starting to move into that unconditional energy. Same thing. You love without needing to be needed. And again, when I was in that where I couldn't sit on the couch for a long period of time, I'd go to work and I would just work for, 9 hours, 10 hours a day, and maybe take a lunch, maybe take a break. But I was just working, working, working because it felt good to be needed. I mean, it didn't feel good, but in the moment, I thought it felt good to be needed. I'm like, I'm getting something out of this. Adrenaline, whatever the thing is, like, I'm getting something out of this situation that I'm doing right now. So, hopefully, this stuff lands for you. If you're watching this on replay, please, put comments in the video below. Like I said, you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, and Substack. I also have a TikTok, but I'm not necessarily active on that. But I'm very much active on Instagram and on Facebook. So if you guys want to follow me there and get, whatever little gems that I'm throwing out, please do so. The links are in my channel. I think that once you start looking at the situations in your life and how you manage them, and you start weighing, is this conditional? Is this unconditional? If it's conditional, what am I working on? If it's unconditional, like, I'm doing awesome, in that category. There's going to be there's going to be things where you're not going to be 100% in this, and that's fine. But this is going to help you to maximize in your magnetic beauty, in your truth, and your devotion, and just in your intimacy. Like, you're going to start feeling connected. Okay. Hopefully this lands. I can obviously keep going, but I have a friend coming in from out of town, so I am going to call it. Thank you guys so much. I say this often, but payment is also paying attention. And so, everybody that's watched this, I really love and enjoy that you guys are here. I know how vast the internet is, and you can watch anything, but for being here, I really truly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the people that show up in the chats. I hope this lands for you, and that if you feel that you need a little bit more assistance or push or mentorship in this, I do have a program that I'm launching. It's 8 weeks for women that are wanting to amplify themselves and become more magnetic, more in their identity, and to just recenter themselves and become more grounded, higher level, more powerful. And it's only $444 for 8 weeks. And it's such a good deal. So if this is landing for you, please reach out to me. I'm onboarding now, and we're going to be starting in a few weeks. So I would love to have your beautiful faces join. And if you know somebody that this might be helpful for, and you know that I am potent energy and very, very, I'm very deep and penetrative. Like, I can't help it. I just go down, like, we're going to the bottom of the lake and figuring out what's down there. Okay. So if you have a friend that you want to attend that with, it would be really fun. It is a series of courses, like video courses, but then we have a weekly group meeting where we all kind of connect together. And then there's a group chat where, you can kind of put up what is going on with you, and the ladies can chime in and help you out. So I would love if you guys were wanting to join that. And so please reach out to me. Thank you so much. And I gotta go. Have a great week. And I will see you guys next week. Possibly sooner. I'm booking a guest right now. So I will definitely put that in the schedule. But thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it. All right. Bye.